been marked as People's 52. You recognize that document?
Yes.
Okay, now, when you look at the phone number, for example, at the 8:49 a.m., 702-683-5217, do you see that?
You have to zoom in, please, sir.
Your Honor, can we get the lights as well, please? Yes, and if you want to provide a copy to the witness, you may, although, again, with our low-tech environment here, of which I'm constantly apologizing.
See the call from?
Yes.
And then third down, there's a phone number, 702-683-5217, correct?
Yes.
And below that, it says Antoinette Gill.
Yes.
Okay, as you see here today, do you know whether or not that number belongs to Antoinette Gill?
No.
Okay, so we don't know whether that's accurate or not, correct?
Objection to the testimony.
Overruled. You may answer it.
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you tell from this exhibit whether a particular call that was made, whether it was answered by the telephone belonging to Dr. Murray?
No.
Okay. Would you be able to tell whether a particular call went to voicemail?
From this document, no.
Okay. From the records previously marked as People's 51, would you be able to tell whether a particular call was answered?
Yes.
Okay. Would you know whether a particular call went to voicemail?
Yes.
Okay. Would you be able to tell whether a particular voicemail was checked? Okay. Would you be able to tell whether a particular text message was reviewed?
No.
Okay. Showing you People's Exhibit 52, you see the call at 11:20 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. And that was a call from a Bridget Morgan at 310-590-9566, correct?
Objection. Beyond the scope.
Overruled on that ground. You may answer. You need to re-ask.
I need to be re-asked because this information identifies another party's call records outside of AT&T.
So based on your phone records, would you be able to tell whether or not that particular call was answered?
Objection vague as to which call.
I believe that the Bridget Morgan designated call.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Overruled. You may answer it.
I wouldn't know. No.
Okay, showing you the call that was, time of call says 10:34 a.m. Do you see that?
Yes, once again, this information that you're giving me is from a different party. This is not AT&T's records.
I understand that, Mr. Dixon, but the call at 10:34 by Dr. Murray's AT&T cellular telephone, is that reflected in the phone records of AT&T?
Yes.
Okay, so in reference to that call to a Stacy Ruggles at 619-994-3233, you see that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that call would be reflected in your records, correct?
Yes.
And those records are in front of you?
I have the records with me.
Okay, and can you tell us whether that call was answered or whether or not it was a voicemail that was left?
From looking at this here, I wouldn't know.
Looking at the other records previously marked as People's 51, would you be able to look at those and tell us whether that call, whether it was answered or whether a voicemail was left?
Yes.
Can you do that for us?
Can you see it, or would you like the lights turned up a little bit?
I can see it, sir.
We can turn the lights back on, Your Honor. I'm done with the
Thank
exhibit.
you.
Thank you.
And excuse me, sir.
Yes. You have a question, Mr. Dixon?
Yes, the date in question.
It's June 25 at approximately 10:34 a.m. There was a phone call placed from Dr. Murray's AT&T cellular telephone to a 619943233 phone number.
Objection, this takes the testimony. That's a call from the Sprint phone, not the AT&T phone.
Sustained. Just want to re-ask it, please.
Mr. Dixon, moving to another point, if you were to go to page 66 of those phone records that we reviewed, that you referred to as the data usage, and you had indicated that there was a, what you called a pull notification, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and that's where we saw every hour there was a 104, a 204, a 304, a 404, a 504, and a 604 entry, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and the phone is automatically set up to do that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not as though the subscriber is actually checking his phone every hour, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Gorgian, thank you. Ms. Brazil, oh, wait, do you need a moment? Mr. Chernoff's confirmed with Mr. Gorgian. Do you need a few more questions?
Mr. Dixon, looking at People's Exhibit 52, you see the 11:07 a.m. entry?
Yes.
Okay, and that's a call to the AT&T cellular telephone that we're talking about by a 619-994-3233 number, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us whether or not that particular phone call was answered or if it was gone to voicemail?
No.
Okay. Looking at the records in front of you, People's Exhibit 51, would you be able to tell us if you were to look at those records?
No.
Okay, so there's no way to determine whether that particular call was answered or if it went to voicemail?
I can try to check as far as call duration by looking at the duration of the call.
Okay, and can you please do that for us?
And you'd be looking at People's 51 for that?
Yes. Six 25th,
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Dixon.
11:51 a.m.
At 11:07 a.m.
07. It's identified as an incoming call. We don't know if it went to voicemail.
What page is that on, People's 51?
Page 21, sir.
Okay.
Okay, and does it also give you the duration of the call, the length of the call?
1 minute.
1 minute? Okay, but as you testified earlier, even if it was 35 seconds, it gets rounded up to a minute, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but as you sit here today, you're not able to tell us whether or not that call went to voicemail or if it was answered?
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Gorgian, thank you. Ms. Brazil, redirect, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Dixon, as a point of clarification, when you reviewed People's number 52, there are two colors on this chart, and the calls that pertain to your employer, AT&T, those calls are reflected in the lighter color. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the phone call entries on this chart that are in yellow, they pertain to an entirely different cell phone provider representing a second cell phone that was being used during the time period, correct?
Yes.
And on the last row of phone calls here, I'd like to direct your attention to a typographical error in the chart, people's number 52. If you'll check the records, please, the call indicating time of 3:38 p.m., a call placed by Conrad Murray from his AT&T cell phone to a 310-310-807 number. Would you confirm that should be 3:58 instead of 3:38? There's a typographical error on my chart.
Yes, confirmed.
So the correct time for the 3:38 call should be 3:58, correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'm going to reflect the accurate time on the People's Exhibit. May the record reflect I have placed 3:58. Is that correct, Mr. Dixon, as to the AT&T phone records, a call placed by Conrad Murray's AT&T phone at 3:58 p.m.?
Yes.
Defense counsel asked you about your knowledge of the information on the call chart related to the individuals' names. You don't know the names of the individuals, do you?
No.
But you do know, and you have verified the accuracy of the telephone numbers as it relates to AT&T on this chart, as well as the phone records that have been presented in court today, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. I have no further questions.
Ms. Brazil, thank you. Mr. Gorgian, recross?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. May Mr. Dixon be excused, Ms. Brazil?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Gorgian?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Dixon, I want to thank you for your testimony.
All right.
Sir, please do not discuss your testimony or the facts of the case with any other witnesses until we finish the trial. You may step down. You may leave. Thank you, sir.